Hello, Flosstube. Happy Monday. It is Monday, September 30th, 2024, and this is Flosstube number 142. Glancing over at my planner. Um, it's a nice afternoon. We've had summer that has lasted all of September, the ideal kind of summer, the summer that we wish we had more of, the nicely warm and mild and just an occasional rain and not really humidity, that kind of stuff we've had for a lot of September, which kind of makes us uneasy in general because we can have snow by the end of October. So that's sort of like, are we going to have no gentle cool down or is it going to be a big shock? I don't know. I have, yeah. I have my stitching to keep me company should it get cold really fast. But September was a month of not a lot of stitching because there's a lot of opportunities to do things when the weather is so mild. Um, so yeah, like I wasn't home at all. I don't think I stitched a single stitch this whole weekend. I took a class at Hobby House. Hobby House Quilt Works had a class. If you follow them on Facebook, I'm in the class picture somewhere. You just have to find me. Um, that filled Saturday, and it was a rainy Saturday, which would be a good stitching time, but you know, was in a class. And then Sunday we had errands and whatnot to run, and then we had a wedding to go to in the mid-afternoon into the evening. So no stitching, no weekend stitching. Anyway, I don't have a lot of good stuff to report out of my stitching for September as a result of weather and opportunities and doing things. And I do not know. I think I'll have a long afternoon stretch with no interruptions, and then there's just interruptions all afternoon. So let's get to it. Yeah. I've been stitching on my Madame LaFay Halloween night, which was my September focus piece. It and I have had a rough go of it. Oh, and here's the thing. I just gathered everything up out of the cart that's next to my chair for my stitching spot. I didn't even get all fancy with the boards. I thought, oh, this is going to be quick. Oh, look, the sunlight's shining through. You can see it well enough for all I did. I went into this with the bats done, and maybe had I done the lantern? Oh, I should have looked, huh? No, I didn't. No, bats were done because I counted off a bat wing over to the shadow and I stitched the shadow. Shadow, the number on the pattern called the thread number, stitched down, and then I started back where I started and I went up and something I went up. No, I went up and then I started with the blue, making my way down, and I got like each shade of blue carries on for a little bit. I got like to the third shade of blue that I was working on and something wasn't working right. Well, I realized that in the original, oh no. First thing I realized no, okay. So let's back up the page. Counted off the bat's wing, worked my way down, started my way up, and I think a thread had ended. And when I flipped it over to, run my thread underneath some already done stitches, I realized, I'm like, what's that bat doing there? I had started off the wrong bat wing. I started off of this guy up here instead of this guy down here. So the lantern was way the heck up. So pull it all out, what I had done, and did it again. And I get all way up. I'm into doing the blues, and I realize I forgot a stitch somewhere in all this. This picture, Madame LaFay pieces are too complicated to screw up. Right off the get-go, that you're off somewhere, and then remember always that you're off somewhere because it runs into the next block here and there, and everything just works off of a previous part that you've stitched. So out it all came. I stitched this more than once, more than twice, I think. And then I'm stitching away. I'm replacing it, stitching it away. Stitch, 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 some more. I didn't bring the whole pattern over here, so I can't show you the problem. So I got it as a gift. And so this is not the DMC list. It's not with me. The whole DMC list is there. And I see an asterisk by the one that's the shadow in here. And it says, we used 611 as our shadow, but you should use a thread color that's one shade darker than your fabric. So 611 was really bright. It wasn't shadowy at all. And I wasn't going to not see that. I had done shadow part of the ghost's arm too. So out it all came, so I could change the color. Fortunately, I could get all the shadow out without ruining all the things that I had done in the lantern. So I changed the color, appropriately so. And then I worked away, and I'm working on the candy, and I wanted to get this whole page done. The page somewhere in here is a page. So I got the page done, and part of another page, and part of another page. And it looks great. The borders are always are kind of intense, but they look great when they're done. As you can see, it looks great. Then the other morning I was up really early and I was working on some of the word that's going to say night in French. And I had done I and the T, and then I'm using a different color to make my way over here, and I start, and I realize I'm off by one. And again, let's look at the picture. The words all run into the words, which run into the things, and run into the things, and her patterns are notoriously hard because she doesn't do anything to connect the pages. There's no grayed out areas. And it's 6 pages of pattern. I think it's only 6. It's a lot. So I was working up in this, like, where you're joining page. It is just a hot mess. Out it came. I put it back in this afternoon, and I may get a little tiny bit more stitching done. See, the N isn't even done. There's a page break right here, and I just decided I'm just going to work on this page. But really, today's the last day of the month. It's going to get put away, and I'm not going to miss it right away. They're fun to work on, and I feel like this one's not even the most stitch heavy one. It's only the second one I've done. It's got a lot less stitches than the first one. So, Madame Lafitte got lots of work, progress, but gave me fits here and there. She came with a frog, which I guess is kind of appropriate for a witch, but yeah, cool on that. So, what do I have next? I didn't know Madame Lafitte was going to be a pattern full of grief. This one I already know is a pattern full of grief. I'm not even sure. I put in a dozen stitches, maybe some more, maybe a few more than a dozen. I got a thread pulling from something. Oh, okay. I didn't make any noticeable progress on this at all. I am just determined to get this thing done, though. I'm not looking forward to all the, it's like doing this where it's such an they're irregular stitches. They're not even half stitches. They're crazy stitches, crazy partial stitches. So I have to do with this ribbon that hangs down here, the ribbon that hangs down, and some of the ribbon that flows across the lid of the jar. I have to do the outline first and then the colors so that I know where I'm going. I want this done. So my plans currently, right this second, are that for the first week of October, I will work on that and see how far I get. See if I get to a point where I think I see a light at the end of the tunnel, because I want it done. But if I keep making it my minor project and something else my major project, then I never go to that. So she's getting, what do I want to say? Holiday in a Bottle, Cute Patterns by Maria. While I'm calling it my minor one for October, it's going to be the only one that I'm declaring as an October stitch because I need that out of my lineup. So what else? Excuse me while I lean out of the picture. Look at my son works for the Humane Society of the United States. That's their logo. And he, back a few years back, as a graphic designer, he designed a bunch of shirts. So every couple years I need to refresh my shirt collection. This is the one I'm wearing today. They're nice, medium weight cotton shirts. They have hoodies and sweatshirts and t-shirts, and I like their long sleeve t-shirts. I like them very oversized. So But yeah, I asked him, did you design this one? He said, yeah. I'm like, where was that back last time I ordered? I have no idea. Must have been currently unavailable. So very much like them. Oh, Amazon. You can just go to Amazon, the Humane Society of the United States, or to the Humane Society of the United States website. Order yourself some shirts, which you won't be sorry about. Okay, back on track. I'm trying to look to see if any of these. Oh yeah, this was a whip. This was my Carolyn Manning Beachcomber. Somebody who I forgot. Sorry. Was talking about the one she was working on and she just couldn't put it down. She said it's like potato chips. You can't have just one, which is the truth. I did not want to put it down. I did my required roughly 2,000 stitches and I did more. I have to look at my stitch count to see exactly where I'm at, but I'm not subtracting them from my October obligation because I'm happy to work on it again. So I haven't hit the 50% mark yet, but maybe on this go round I will. Working down in this quadrant, and sometimes when I have a thread left over, a color left over, I take it over to somewhere where I can connect with something else and put in some stitches. So Beachcomber's coming along very nicely. No complaints, which is good. It's good to have at least one project that I'm not going to complain about. So yeah, that'll come out into the October lineup. Hopefully not immediately in the first week where I'm supposed to be doing holiday in a bottle. I'm going to try to have some, self-control. Then I thought I should start a Mill Hill because I bought one of these frames and I bought it from, oh, look at that. Excuse me while I wrestle with my frame. These frames, mine came from the Ukraine, I think. I think there's somebody local or in the United States who's making them, but I would not be your fact-based person to base any of that on. So yeah, back in the bag, it didn't stay in its frame, but it is magnetic. And so I know had I been holding this and stitching it, it would have more wrinkled edges than that. So yeah, I'm having a little trouble making sure it's all in there before it snaps itself shut. Pretty taut. I don't know what part of the whole thing this is. We'll look at the picture. I'm doing the thing called hot cocoa. Oh, I did across the mug. Oh, and some of the, all right, let's do it. I only have two hands. I did the green across the mug and then some of this right here. Excuse me. Kit that's been in my collection for gosh knows how long. I don't know when it came out. I just thought maybe I really ought to be doing a Mill Hill because I probably have a lot that I could be doing. So sorted the fat threads, which took my DMC thread card to do correctly, which thank heaven there is such a thing, because you don't always know the difference between light green and light bright green and very light bright green. And this kit didn't tell me how many strands of each color I would have. Sometimes that helps you. So anyway, that was a start in September, and then another start in September, which I believe I mentioned to you was going to be a start. Don't focus your device. It is blurry. Caterpillar cross stitch, their Holly Jolly Kitchen Mystery Stitch. We got the first part. I stitched it right up. 2 days of stitching time. And the next part, I think, comes tomorrow. It's a gingerbread house. Not in colors that I would have chosen per se, but I don't know what's yet to come, so I'm not changing everything. Like the gumdrops being light blue and pink. I might have like red and green if it was me making it. If I was making the gingerbread house, it would have red and green gumdrops. But I will go with the flow and work my way on that and try to stay on target. I think a part comes out every 2 weeks, which means tomorrow. So that's my stitching. Wow. Yeah, that's my stitching. So what else do I have to talk about? I'm not going to talk about plans yet. pretty much I told you my plans, but I have a future plan. But I wanted to get these out. I've been seeing people start them a little bit, and maybe they're new to them at this point. I have to check the year that I stitched these. 2007. So it was a few years ago. Bent Creek came out with Snapperville, whatever it was. And it was these charts that I think is Pam of Pam and Stuff doing one, and Helen D maybe. They came out each of the little books, just a little flippy book, and I think they came out one at a time. They all had a little snap embellishment, like very similar to a button embellishment with these snaps. And then I don't remember if we had to pay for the border was free. I don't remember how we got all the snaps for it. If we had to pay for it, did we have to? I don't really know. This is a button in there though. So, and again, it's embellished with snaps. So that's the Snapperville, Snapperland, Snapper, I don't know what. I didn't write the name on the back. So here's the fall, the autumn one. Because I did them all, of course. You know I did. Thinking it was an auto from somewhere. And summer. This one obviously had some buttons with it, but there are snaps. In this case, they're silver snaps. I thought it was cute. Those are the cutest. This is, I'm pretty sure, my favorite one. I like all that nautical stuff. Usually if I've shown them to you before on here on Flosstube, it's when I have the opportunity to write the name on the back. No names written, but I sort of feel like I might have shown them once upon a time. I mean, shoot, how long? 2007. Somebody do the math for me really quick. That was a few years ago. Here is the spring one. It's cute, right? The chickens, the hen house, the things, all the bees. And then the embellishments of the snaps are the flower centers. And there's buttons. And last is winter. Also a cool one. Liking all those little patterns of Christmassy, wintry, not Christmassy. The snowman and all that. So yeah. So I did all those a million years ago, as you can tell. Ooh, this one's dated 2006. Oh, goodness. Such a long time ago. But here they are, preserved in framing. They're in this house. I don't have as much wall space as I have in the house when I stitched them. So they're in a place up in my office where I can just one behind the other and then just get out the seasonal one that's relevant. So they used to hang on a wall like one under the other. Because, I don't have a problem hanging seasonal things year round. Not always. I don't always do it. In my sewing room, I'll have lots of things hung that are not the right season. Because, I want to see them. So that was my stitching and my old stitching and future stitching. I don't know what my focus piece will be yet in October. I change my mind all the time. I got to get that holiday in a bottle. I have to get the complicated part done. That's really where I should go with it. So there's that. What have I been reading? A little bit of a struggle on the book train again. But I did get these two books out, which I have read before. One of them I read twice, so this was the third time around. But Nora Ephron, who wrote things like You've Got Mail, she wrote some good movies. Harry Met Sally, is that it? Some really good books. Anyway, these are all little like personal reflection essays, and they're all very interesting. Obviously, that's why I picked them up to read again. They can take a day or two, depending on what you're doing. I feel bad about my neck, and I remember nothing. So the one that she wrote last, she wrote, I feel bad about my neck. Let me just do the research right here. She wrote in Yeah, some year. 2006. And then she wrote, I Remember Nothing. I read them both as they came out and were relevant to the time. So this one was in 2010. So this was the latest one. She died soon after this book came out, maybe in 2012. And I remember just being so shocked and no idea that she had, I'm pretty sure it was cancer, but don't quote me on that. And then I learned that she intentionally did not tell people. She did not want, the remaining years of her life to be spent with everybody feeling bad for her and all those things. So it was not public knowledge. When I reread this one, I got a sense that she knew, that she would not survive whatever illness she had. So that, so I didn't have the knowledge when I read it, had the knowledge when I went back and reread it, and now I see that there should have been some hints. Very good, very good. I mean, look at them. They're just 130-ish pages long, each of them. Just a really enjoyable read. I don't keep a lot of books anymore, but books like this that I would pick up, I remembered bits and pieces, but they're just easy reading, enjoyable essays that she's written. Perfect travel book, for example. Stuff about her youth and what her getting started in the world of journalism and that kind of stuff. So a very, very enjoyable reads. Get them from your library or something. So those books are worthy of mentioning. And then what else? That's it. That's everything I have spread out around me. I think I'm going to do, this is future plans. I believe I'm going to do Whip Go again this coming year, 2025. I did it for the first time in 2023 and I really enjoyed it. I looked forward to the numbers being pulled. Never really felt like, oh, they pulled something I don't want to work on. None of that. But what would happen is once or twice, even possibly, the same, like my large projects were on there more than once. They were called in the same month, so I couldn't work on them for a full month. I felt like they got cheated out of their second full month. And yes, I could have made a plan to bump the second call to a different time, but I was just staying true to the game. And so I've been kind of thinking about how to do that. I did not do it in 2024 because of that. I didn't have a lot of whips. I didn't have a good plan. So I'm making a plan moving forward that will be a very out of character plan, I think. We will see. My whips are up to 15, so hey, I better, pump the brakes. I'm just kidding. I realize. But it's the same kind of thing with 15, and a lot of them are good sized whips. I don't circle back around to them, but maybe once a year. So whatever. Just an idea is percolating. I'm not ready to make a presentation about it. I would say certainly by December, maybe by next month, as people start to think about what they'd like to do. I know that there's like who is it? Dina Half Stitch Cross Stitch is doing like a 3-month focus on a finish. So she's trying to finish as many things as she can in the 3 months. I don't think I'm going to do that. Although, wouldn't it be nice if I could finish a thing or two? Holiday in a bottle. But there's a couple things I'd like to start. I had a friend call me out on my working theory that I needed to always have a prairie schooler going. I finished my last prairie schooler last year and didn't start another one. I know what I want to start. I even tried to shop a little bit for fabric, not in my stash, but at a store, and didn't find what I wanted. So I really need to look at my stash. You never know. I could probably have it. And I wanted to start that other Carolyn Manning in December, the happy birthday one. So neither of those were small. But anyway, I have to start a few new things now and again. I started several things at the end of last year that I haven't worked on since last year. So those I'd like to get those out in the next few months and stitch on them again. So, the plans are stitch some more, start a thing or two and stitch. So I'm pretty sure I can work through those and do those. But other than that, I don't know. We'll see. So there you go. Short one, a short video. I just didn't have that much to talk about. I could ramble, but you know, that gets boring too. So let me go do the household things that need to be done. My husband is away, which means I gotta take the trash out and find some leftovers for supper, and then knock on wood, have several hours of stitching this evening. Okay, while this uploads, because then I won't have my iPad to watch Flosstube. Yeah. Okay. See how the plan is coming together? Okay. All right. Everybody enjoy the very, very, very last day of September, heading into October. Fall's my favorite time of year, leading up to Christmas. I like winter. Those rank right up there. So have a good one. Bye.